Hello and welcome to the AI Breakdown. I'm Andy, and today we're diving into GPT-5 1 week after its landmark release, and what a week it has been. This wasn't your average product launch. OpenAI unleashed what they're calling the future of artificial intelligence to nearly 700 million weekly ChatGPT users. The reaction has been fascinating to watch. In one corner, we've got genuine excitement bubbling up about the capabilities, and in the other, a mix of uncertainty, frustration, and for some users, outright disappointment. In today's episode, we'll explore the genuine pain points that emerged. Then we'll examine how OpenAI scrambled to respond. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we'll recap why this upgrade actually matters for your business's future and how it could transform the way you work. Now for the problems. This launch had significant flaws from the outset. The first major issue, a technical meltdown at the core. The real-time router, designed to intelligently choose between quick responses and deeper thinking, failed within hours of going live. This critical fault meant every query, even complex ones, received simplistic treatment, leaving users scratching their heads at seemingly dumbed-down answers. Users everywhere were utterly baffled, frantically asking, "Hang on, is this actually the cutting-edge GPT-5 we were promised, or just some watered-down backup system running in its place?" Even Sam Altman himself acknowledged they had a SEV, that's Silicon Valley speak, for a severe incident, with the auto-switcher failing throughout the day. For professionals and developers relying on the system, this translated to unpredictable outputs, quality far below expected standards, and in many cases completely derailed workflows. Then came the bombshell. Without any prior notice, OpenAI yanked nearly all previous models from the ChatGPT interface. For power users and paying subscribers, models like GPT-4o, 03, and 4.5 were essential tools they'd carefully integrated into their daily processes. Suddenly, these finely tuned systems, combinations of models each selected for specific tasks, vanished overnight. The response was swift and fierce. A subreddit titled GPT-5 is horrible exploded with thousands of comments. Subscribers complained that outputs had become colder, more mechanical, and, most worryingly, significantly less accurate for specialized tasks. OpenAI also introduced new rate limits on ChatGPT Plus users, which sparked considerable criticism. As a Plus subscriber paying for premium access, users were surprised to find that GPT-5's advanced thinking mode was limited to just 200 messages per week. For many, this felt like a proper slap in the face, especially coming right after they'd yanked GPT-4o from Plus users entirely. Social media erupted almost instantly, Reddit threads filled with outraged comments. Subscription cancellation threats flew left and right, and users were asking the same question, why am I paying more for less? And the frustration wasn't limited to professionals either. GPT-4o had cultivated a loyal following who appreciated its warmth, personality, and sense of empathy. People genuinely mourned its loss. One user memorably described GPT-5 as a corporate beige zombie wearing their dead friend's skin, while others lamented the new model's clinical, detached, and more robotic tone. And we can't overlook the infamous chart crime. During the highly anticipated livestream demonstration, multiple bar charts were meant to showcase GPT-5's benchmark performance. However, keen-eyed viewers noticed glaring visual misrepresentations. Bars for lower scores were bizarrely drawn taller than those for higher scores in several places. The most egregious mistake involved a chart comparing coding benchmark accuracy, where GPT-5's score of 52.8% was depicted with a bar nearly twice as tall as OpenAI o3's 69.1%, and GPT-4o's much lower 30.8% accuracy was shown with a bar of equal size to 69.1%. These fundamental errors went viral on social media and tech forums, with the incident branded as unintentional chart crime and the mega chart screw-up by CEO Sam Altman himself, who apologized publicly. Critics and users alike saw the botched visualizations as not just a slip-up, but a blow to OpenAI's credibility, fueling suspicions that the company was exaggerating GPT-5's improvements. OpenAI staff clarified that while the underlying numbers were correct, the bar charts in the live stream were simply constructed incorrectly due to rushed late-night work. Detailed, corrected versions were later published in official blog posts, but the damage to public trust lingered, with many jokes circulating about letting GPT-5 itself make the charts, further undercutting OpenAI's efforts to position the launch as a new standard in transparency and rigor. The result? Disrupted workflows, reduced efficiency, and widespread disappointment, casting a shadow over what should have been a celebrated milestone for OpenAI. So what happened next? Well, OpenAI didn't just sit there scrolling through Twitter memes and hoping for the best. Altman took a candid approach, though frankly, with the scale of public backlash, transparency wasn't so much a choice as a necessity. He called the launch bumpy, admitted they'd underestimated how attached people had become to the old models, and acknowledged that the auto-switcher failure had seriously damaged user confidence. His team sprang into action, fixing the buggy thinking mode within days and getting that temperamental model auto-switcher working properly, and they didn't stop there. After users continued to voice their frustrations, OpenAI made a crucial concession. They restored GPT-4o access for Plus subscribers. It was essentially them saying, "We hear you, here's your beloved model back." They also increased the thinking rate limits for GPT-5 among paid subscribers to 3,000 messages per week from 200, and completely overhauled the interface so you could see exactly which model was running. So no more guesswork or crossed fingers. For developers and power users who'd built their workflows around specific models, there came a reassuring promise. Your legacy options aren't disappearing anymore, for now anyway. OpenAI pledged that going forward, they'd let real-world usage and user feedback shape what stays on the menu. Their communication strategy shifted dramatically too. We saw direct engagement with users, Reddit AMAs, and public admissions about both the launch failures and those misleading demo charts. This wasn't some corporate press release. They rolled up their sleeves, admitted their mistakes, and openly addressed their missteps. Did this fix everything overnight? Not quite, but it's a good start. There's still trust to rebuild and issues to sort out, but seeing a company this size actually listen and respond quickly, that's pretty refreshing. So why did OpenAI push ahead with this all-in-one model despite the backlash? And for those still feeling burned by the change, what's actually in it for you? Here's the upside, because this is where it gets genuinely exciting. GPT-5 isn't just another step up, it's a full-blown shift. If and when OpenAI get this right, think of it like this. You'll have access to dozens of specialist models, your quick response engine, deep reasoning brain, creative writer, and code wizard, all fused into a single adaptive mind. For you, that means no more picking the right model for the job. You just ask, and GPT-5 decides how to split its brainpower, blazing through simple questions, then shifting into slow, careful reasoning when it's needed. And that enormous 400,000 token context window, that's game-changing. Suddenly you're tearing through annual reports, dissecting complex legal contracts, or scanning huge code bases without breaking a sweat. The reliability upgrades are where skeptics should perk up. OpenAI says hallucinations are down 45% for everyday questions and up to 65% for tricky, multi-step problems. On top of that, GPT-5 is more willing to give you a straight answer, even an unpopular one, instead of flattering you or dodging the point. In coding, it's topping benchmarks like SWA Bench and Polyglot, and developers say that once the early router bugs were fixed, debugging and prompt following became far sharper. Big business has clocked this too. Amgen, Morgan Stanley, BNY Mellon, Figma, Lowe's. They're already folding GPT-5 into their daily operations. If you're a ChatGPT Pro subscriber, it now plugs straight into your email, calendar, and contacts, acting like an executive assistant that knows your day inside out. Developers get fresh API options to crank power up or down, or use mini and nano versions for cheaper experiments. But zoom out, and this is the real story. We're at an inflection point. The road ahead is clear: unified, high-context, deeply embedded AI that doesn't need babysitting, can reason with integrity, and quietly sits inside everyday business workflows. Yes, there are growing pains, especially for people who built their systems around older, separate models. But the prize is huge: faster automation, more dependable knowledge work, and the foundations for truly AI-native businesses. And if you're wondering what it means for your business, here's the takeaway. GPT-5 isn't just a smarter AI assistant, it's the start of a unified, always-on brain quietly threading itself through how we work. The rollout's been bumpy, but OpenAI's already course-correcting. The companies that lean in early will shape how this tech evolves. The rest, they'll be playing catch-up. Let's wrap it up. In 1 week, GPT-5 has gone from a chaotic launch to an early masterclass in crisis management. Transitions like this are disruptive, sometimes even emotional, but they're part of how technology evolves. OpenAI has put their stake in the ground, and that's the direction we're heading. It's unfortunate they chose such a bumpy path with minimal communication, giving users little time to prepare for the changes. But credit where it's due, they owned their mistakes and stepped up to fix them. No one expected universal acclaim. There will always be resistance to change. But I believe people will discover GPT-5's true value as they experience not just incremental improvements, but entirely new capabilities that weren't possible before. The frustrations of today are laying the groundwork for tomorrow's breakthroughs. Thanks for listening to the AI Breakdown.